What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Knicks Recap Podcast. I'm your host, Troy, and you could be anywhere in the world this morning, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate that. This episode is presented by FanDuel, and today we have a very special guest joining the show. You see him all over social media. Whether the Knicks win or lose, this man is dropping content. His Knicks Metal Recaps are legendary. He's a viral sensation. He's a celebrity at this point, known as Duglust on social media. Please help me welcome my very special guest, Doug. What's going on, Doug? Thank you so much for joining the show today, my guy.
I'll just see myself out after that fabulous introduction. I can't make it any better than that, man. Everything is good. I'm so excited. You know, I've been tapping in with what you've been doing since we used to do this. I used to hide away from my wife and kids to give a take on the champ and recap spaces a couple seasons ago, and now here you are rocking the YouTube channel, breaking news, giving interviews. It's awesome. So I'm just pumped to be on with you, man.
Listen, man, I'm pumped to have you on. I see the chat is pumped to have you on. We got Carl Knight in the chat that says, Doug the legend. You have no idea how much of a legend he is. I promise you we will get to the chat. We'll talk about a lot of different things with you guys throughout the show. But first, you know, you kind of mentioned it, Doug. You took away some of my thunder there, so I gotta come back a little bit. We do have a past. And the funny part about it is this past is before I was Knicks Recap and you were Knicks Metal Recap. You were Doug, and I was just Troy having a space with Champ on X called Nicotine, excuse me. And we were talking about Knicks. Just general Knicks stuff. And it's so crazy. We talked about this the other day. Almost a couple years later, you're one of the hottest things on social media. And the Knicks Recap has become something known on YouTube as a place where you get all of your news. You ever thought we would be here at this point in time?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. First of all, the way you move is the way that I move in terms of just consistency with this stuff. Like, since we've both kind of tapped into something that works for what we're doing in terms of our social media presence and our Knicks fandom, etc., I've seen how consistent you've been, you know, game over game, season over season, month over month. And I see the same in myself. So frankly, yeah, I mean, we worked for where we are. We've gained the traction that we've gained through hard work and repetition. And that's something I've always respected about you. It makes me think of something really funny that happened last season. I was going along making my content. You were going along making your content. And then Papa Left texted me one day and he was like, Knicks Metal Recaps, the Knicks Recap, LOL. And I was like, I gotta text Troy and like make sure he's cool with me using Knicks Metal Recap, and you were very cool with it. But the whole journey we've been on with the Knicks Twitter community and the Knicks fandom at large has just been a blast to be on together. And I just a rising tide lifts all boats with Knicks fans. It's never more true than with Knicks content creators. So it's really cool to see and be a part of it.
I really appreciate you saying that. And I remember that conversation that we had about the name. And I always tell people, you can use recap. It's hard to talk about what you're doing when you're doing a summary of everything without calling it a recap, because it's essentially what it is. So I never mind it, especially if you do justice to the name. And I feel like you have done justice to the name. And that's why it's perfect to start the show off by talking about Doug's journey. And it's really your journey of today, Doug, and like kind of how you got here. Now, everybody watching the stream, anybody who's going to come on the stream, I promise you, if you're looking for the Knicks talk, Guerschon Yabusele, Mohamed Diawara, Karl-Anthony Towns, why does he look like this? I promise you, we'll get to it. We'll get to it in a little bit. But for right now, I want to talk about Doug and his journey, how he got here. Because for me and a lot of other people watching, maybe some people who thought, you know, I have a really good thing I do with the Knicks. It's not really, though. It's not. I don't think it's content. Well, sometimes things that we don't even believe are content becomes content in its own way. You have taken something that really we didn't know what it was going to be. You know, you're recapping games musically in a way that nobody's ever seen, and you do it in so many different genres, right? You kind of cover it in so many different ways. I love the Landry Shaman when I think you inspired one of my previous graphics of him. I just kind of want to ask, you know, for today, where you are, the Knicks Metal Recap journey that you're on right now. How is it today from when you started?
It's really evolved in this really beautiful way. So it started as I love the Knicks. I'm a professional musician. I record, I write songs, I play bass professionally, like all over the city, all over the country. And I was just like, and I've been an obsessive Knicks fan since 5 years old, and I've really been watching the game more analytically. I played pickup a lot, but I never really played organized ball growing up. So I've been watching the game from a more analytical perspective, try to understand what's been going on for I don't know, 16, 17 years. Ever since the Knicks got into the conversation to try to sign LeBron James in the summer of 2010, I was like, okay, now I want to kind of understand this team a little bit better, understand the game a little bit better. So I've been going along my journey as a professional musician. We all have a million jobs, kids, families, all that stuff goes on. But something hit me at the beginning of last season. I really liked the trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. I was happy the way the lineup looked with Mikal Bridges, and I said, "Look, we kind of have a build in place that now we can start talking about contendership." And that inspired me to be like, "Well, what's a way for me to make content about this team that uses my musicality? I'll challenge myself to write a little tune, like a little riff, with some lyrics about what happens for every game." And I started doing that, and then eventually I decided I would try parodies, which means taking a song that you might be familiar with, redoing it, rewriting the lyrics in such a way to describe the game. And that's when something really clicked for me and for Knicks fans. I would just try to come up with any of my favorite songs. And from a musician standpoint, it's really fun to like break down these songs and analyze the different parts. And I really essentially I learn every part of a given song, the vocals, all the different instruments, the grooves, even like when there's sound effects and samples and things. How do I recreate those? So from a musician and producer perspective and songwriting perspective, it's just reps. It's like really fun work and reps to learn instruments, to learn songs, to learn production. And then just the video aspect, I have fun with it. Maybe I'll reference the music video of the song that I'm parodying, or I'll do something a little out of the box. Like we took a really bad L to Orlando, so I made like a guided meditation video instead of like a normal song, just so we could have like a collective like woosah moment as a fan base.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really all about being creative, learning, getting better, and my favorite part of it is the fans kind of like coming together. It's like putting on a little concert for fans that get this thing that I'm doing because we're all so passionate about the Knicks and basketball, and we're also just kind of tapped into trying to figure it out. Like, do we have what it takes, and how's the season going? That I just really love the way that fans have been so supportive, so cool, and just so enthusiastic and steady for me since I've been doing this. And it's really a symbiotic relationship between me and the people that follow what I've been doing and the people that love the Knicks.
When you rewatch this, you're gonna look at the live chat that's on the screen right now. We got Vince from Big Nick Energy that says sending love and dough to Troy and Doug, obviously. So $2 super chat, appreciate that. We got Mellow Mike in the chat that's saying salute to Recap and Duglust. Great to see you both on live. Nice to see you guys together. Doug is a legend with his songs, always supporting the Knicks. Listen, man, I think the message you're trying to send out there, what you're trying to bring, giving Knick fans that energy and a new twist to Knicks fandom. You've inspired so many different people. I mean, people from the Believe Network who sponsored the show, right? And we're on the podcast for them. They love you as well. And shout out to Lindsay and John for these next couple of questions because they're such big fans of yours. They kind of want to know, and I actually want to know as well too. You talk about all the work you have to do, the fact that you work on legitimately every single part, the video as well too. I mean, I know myself how much of an edit that takes, and you're doing this in short form with a lot of different steps. Now, add on to that, what happens when the result isn't what you want? What happens when it's a close game, very close? We're there, can't get the job done. You're defeated at that point, but you still got to put out the content. Do you find it hard when the Knicks lose for you to kind of get those same type of creative juices in the morning to do the videos that you normally do?
It's a great question. It's brutal. It's a brutal feeling because I hate losing. I've broken remote controls. I've
Yeah.
punched walls. It's not great. I hate losing. So the feeling that I come away with after a loss, it's like, man, does anybody even want to hear from me after that? Like that feels awful. But what I found is that like once I get down to business, once I figure out where I'm going with it, it's actually very cathartic for me. And I think fans feel the same way when they see the videos. They're like, okay, we're processing this stuff together. It really sucked. It really hurt, but we're here. We're doing it. And in terms of my plan, last year was very flying by the seat of my pants. I was like, I got to come up with something every single game because I didn't start till like 5, 6 games into the season.
Right.
So there was no prep time for me. I was just off and running, and the pace of the NBA schedule is insane. Like I've developed a whole new appreciation for NBA players playing 48-minute basketball games and traveling around the country at this rate. It's bonkers to me. And now trying to do this, like keep up with every game, it was intense. So I took the summer after what I thought was a really successful season for myself, for the team, for the whole thing we're going through as Knicks fans. I thought we as a fan base kind of grew last season, even though the result against Indiana was difficult. And then I came back this summer, talked to some friends, like worked some ideas out, and I was like, okay, I need to start banking material so that I have a few options depending on what happens in a game. And I'll just tell you real quick with the Dallas game,
Yeah.
which made everybody want to tear their hair out, and yet the Knicks won the game. I came in with a plan of like, okay, the spread is 8.5. We're gonna smack these dudes. I've got to have like a big like pump your chest out kind of tune.
Right.
And I had that ready to go. And they come out, and of course it's a trap game, and Najee Marshall is cooking, and D'Lo turns the clock back, all the stuff that like if you were being real with yourself, you could have seen coming. And then I was like, okay, I have to come up with something for a game that's annoyingly close. All right, and then I was like, when the Landry Shamet like that whole foul play went down, the
Yeah.
last play. I was like, that's an and one, and this is going to be the worst loss we've ever had. So I might just have to throw everything out the window and start completely from scratch. Fortunately, it was the right call, folks. Learn the rule book. That was the right call. And I found that the Harvey Danger song has that like sort of like I'm kind of crazy, I'm kind of out there, and nothing really even matters anymore to me, which is kind of how it felt after that game. Like, so that ended up working. But there are real harrowing moments where I'm like, how am I going to do this? But I've always found a way so far.
You know, it's funny that we talk about the support you get in the community. Is it surreal sometimes? And we could talk about Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, the roommates podcast, shouting you out, right? Noticing your work. Now, is that we know that happened. We know the Spike Lee obviously as well too, and that huge interactions you've had. What is maybe something you've told already, you haven't told already, the craziest interaction you've had because of you doing these Knicks Metal Recaps?
Well, everybody shows love no matter who they are.
Right.
When they recognize me in the streets of New York or at the Garden. I remember I was coming out of the bathroom at MSG and some dude just looks at me and goes, yes, yes. And now I'm like friends with this guy. Like he's a writer. We're friends, Thomas Beller. He's awesome. But anyway,
Awesome.
there are a lot of musicians that I like, frankly, I admired growing up. There's a drummer named Zach Danziger who like all the music heads in my conservatory in college were like obsessed with his drumming, and he started following me, and I'd never met him before. I'd only seen him perform. So I was like, these sort of like New York City music legends are tapping in. Who else? Of course, Ben Stiller,
Oof.
like the Knick fan of Knick fans, other than Spike. Like he's like, to me, those are the 1 and 1A of Knick fandom. And he started interacting, commenting, reposting. And then the way that he and I connected in terms of working together and him being in one of the videos was he DM'd me a lyric that he thought was funny. And I was like, oh, that's really cool that this means he's one of the funniest guys. Like my sense of humor has been informed by watching his movies for many years. So, I shot my shot of being like, would you be down to do one? And he was like, does Saturday work for you? I was like, I'll make it work, man. We'll figure it out.
I'll make it work. But you know what? I'm a little busy, but I'll figure something out. I'll get the time to do it.
And then, of course, like everybody in our community that I've admired, like Knicks Fan TV guys, CP. CP's given me his time. He's given me his knowledge. Like he's shared with me how he's built his brand. It's helped me so much. Jeremy, Andrew, Sean, Macri, like and Jeff, everybody over at KFS, super awesome. So within our community, people that I was like, oh, I wonder if like I'll ever meet those guys and be able to tell them how much I enjoy their work. Now we're buzz, we text, we interact. So all that's really, really cool.
It looks like it came full circle for you because things that you used to kind of be on the outside looking in, like, I wonder what this feels like. Now you're part of it all. You're part of the engagement. You're definitely part of the energy. You bring a lot of that energy. And I love that part of, because no matter what happens, whether it's a win or loss, you get energy from you. And I think at some point, no matter who you are as a fan, you kind of want that energy to move on, energy to lift your spirits or to do something. And I think you're very good at doing that with the community. My last thing I want to talk about, because when I saw this personally, I remember I think I contacted you directly when the Knicks account, the official Knicks account, does your work, talks about you, shouts you out. I think you go from here to there as soon as that happens. That's happened to you already last season. It looks like this season, given the way you're going, it's going to happen again. Do moments like that shock you, surprise you? Are you anticipating more moments? Are you collaborating more with MSG and the Knicks and, their social? How is that going for you now?
Well, they were fantastic, by the way. It was an intense moment when the Knicks were entering the playoffs, and then they reached out to me, and I was like, "What is this real? Like, is this the people from the Knicks? Are they trolling me? Is this real?" And then they followed through. They worked with me. They had me create some original music to celebrate the playoff run and to get people excited. And it was just a tremendous opportunity, and they were really cool. They were really creatively involved, like working back and forth with me on the stuff we made, and it felt like a real collaboration. And for them to share my work on the account and put their name next to mine was a massive honor because the Knicks brand is historic and it means so much to so many people. And this year I have a really cool new piece of content partnership related thing going on that I'm not going to spoil, but it will be dropping heavy soon enough. And I think we're going to be going in some really cool directions. I want to work, collaborate, connect with everybody. That's why I was really excited to hear from you. That's where I'm at this season is I want this thing. We've built a great baseline. My fan base is amazing. I just want to keep expanding, building, widening, doing more things, being on more shows, being, just connecting with more people. So that's where I'm at with it. That's what my goal is to continue to give fans the content that makes them happy after games and then to just keep expanding.
Legend is what you are when you do the things that you do. And my friend, you are growing in that way every single day. And I mean, just your response right there. I don't know what you're working on, but the fact that you're working on it and you're keeping it on the wraps, the fact that it's going to be probably amazing is probably an understatement. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to watch it. Anything that you're involved in, I'll be part of. The community will be a part of. Like you said before, the support that you've given to everyone over the years, because you have supported everyone, Doug. Everyone just wants to give it back to you. And I'm so happy that that's happening for you right now, especially when you're really on the mount here of kind of this leapfrogging to the top. You're already there. So it's really great to see you here, man.
And it's just from passion. It's just motivated by I can't think about anything else with the New York Knicks. Never really have been able to keep the Knicks off the top of my mind. Like once I take care of my business, once I practice, once I do my jobs, once I, take care of my family, what's the first thing I'm thinking about? New York Knicks. That's why I do this.
Shout out to channel sponsor FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, for giving us this updated information and these latest odds on who's going to win the NBA Finals this season. And as you can see, OKC is on top at plus 175. Then you have the Denver Nuggets at plus 650. Then you have the Cleveland Cavaliers at plus 950. The Rockets at plus 1100. Then the New York Knicks at plus 1300. And then rounding out this list is the Lakers, and they're at plus 1400. And speaking about the New York Knicks, we have talked about Doug and his journey, and I'm very happy we have done that We spoke about it. We understand exactly how he's doing it, what else is going to come. Some things we got to wait for. Surprise, surprise. But I'm very happy to wait for those things. But now it's time to go into the Knicks related stuff for the day. So everybody who's been waiting for that, here's some time for that. And Doug will be giving us a lot of takes about that. And to start it off, really, I want to talk about the Knicks trade update. Now, a lot of people are asking, we have so many things to talk about. Why do you want to talk about trades? Well, there's a reason I want to talk about trades. Number one, we're very close or getting closer to the trade deadline. And we've talked about a lot of people, Doug, on this team. There are a lot of different players on this team that have a role and are part of Mike Brown's system consistently. And then there are other players, new players that have joined the team that seem to find it a little difficult to get consistent minutes. And one of those players is Guerschon Yabusele. So my main question was, and maybe it's early, maybe for some fans it is early, but I still have the question of, if it's not working, you're in a championship year, the Knicks clearly don't mind making moves if it helps them get to their goal of winning a championship. So my question was, is Yabusele going to be traded? So thankfully, I went to Ian Bagley, the person I always go to, and on this a great NBA insider as well. And on his show, The Putback, he answered the following question. Is it safe to guess that Yabusele will be on the trade block once his restrictions leave on December 15th? He states that Yabusele has not had consistent minutes under Mike Brown. And when he's played, it's been hit or miss. He's hit some threes, things like that, but nothing really substantial yet. But Bagley says his read on it is that Yabusele is going to get the timing and conditioning back he had last season in Philly. And he also said that with Leon Rose in this front office, they would not be aggressive in getting Yabusele if they didn't want to invest in him. So he does not think that they would pull the plug on December 15th or even before February regarding Yabusele and moving him. So Yabusele is expected to ultimately earn a consistent spot in Mike Brown's rotation. Now, that's great to hear, but in practice, we're not really seeing that. And I don't know if the New York Knicks are going to continue to wait for an impact that may not be there come the postseason when they need it the most. So my question to you is, do they trade Yabusele at this point? Do they hold on to him and see if it works? Or what is your plans going forward with Yabusele and this roster?
Well, I think Ian, who is always on point, always insightful, and always connected with the Knicks, lays it out pretty plainly. They have to figure out how to implement him in this roster, or they're just not going to pick up the second year. So basically, they're in this position where his value is depressed right now because I don't know. Did he come in out of shape? I'm not really sure. Is he just kind of getting his legs back from an offseason? I'm not really sure. But I would say my thinking is that his best minutes are yet to come, and he will have a game where he does actually break out, hit 2 or 3 or 4 threes in big moments, and they need to keep testing and seeing if he's ready to bring that out. Now, where it gets difficult is there are situations where he kind of is in on a rebound but doesn't close the rebound, or he misses an open three. Those are situations where it's really tough to leave this guy on the floor with the defensive questions and the inconsistency offensively. So I think what the Knicks should be examining from a trade perspective is, if they want to trade, the value in their assets in terms of players, I think, is still in Kolek and Dadier and McCullough. Unfortunately, I really do want those guys to work out. But in terms of how do we get a piece from a seller, we're talking about like a 9th, 10th person on the bench. We're not going to get like a significant 20+ minute a guy rotation player at the trade deadline, I don't think. Unless there's some deal that I'm not seeing. But I think, do they consolidate some of the younger guys who are not exactly in the rotation and think about just a name, don't know anything, don't know how possible it is, a Keon Ellis type of a player? I think the Knicks are really thin. Where I see it is sort of connecting 3-4 wing type of players. That's where I see the most need. And that's why I know we're going to talk about him later. Diawara is somebody that I'd like to see play more, because I think with the Knicks' clear questions on defense, they need switchable players. They need switchable defenders that if you get put in a pick and roll and the ball handler is then facing up against a big, that big can move, move feet, the big can hedge and recover, can double and recover. So these are the things I think the Knicks need to think about in terms of reshaping the roster. But I do think the Yabusele situation, it's way too early to just be like, oh, he sucks, like he's not useful in our rotation, because I don't think that's true. I think the value is coming.
I think with Yabusele, the biggest problem I have with Yabusele, it's not more so. I think the offensive side will come. I believe that. I just think defensively, his court awareness at times is not where it needs to be. There are certain plays on defense where he falls asleep, or he understands the principles of packing the paint, shifting inside, but not shifting outside and sliding your feet to an opposing player, especially if you see somebody caught on the screen. So the awareness is not where it needs to be for Yabusele, in my opinion. Now, will it come? It's so early, like you said, Doug. So thinking about trades right now is a little crazy, but you understand why the fan base, why everybody else is doing it, because they understand what the season means. This is the win now season. This is the season where we could potentially win a championship in a weakened Eastern Conference. So I can understand why the trade conversations are out there. And, speaking about trade conversations, we might as well get to it. You spoke about the trade deadline, and you're right about that. There are many reports out there right now suggesting that the Knicks will be active at the deadline, either by trying to get a backup veteran point guard or perhaps a backup big. Actually, ESPN's Zach Cram stated that the Knicks actually could use a reliable backup center. And here's why he said that. The Knicks are rather well-rounded without any gaping roster holes. But given center Mitchell Robinson's injury history, New York could use another proven center as insurance for the postseason. Continuing a trend from the 2024-2025 playoffs, Robinson has been crucial to the Knicks' performance this season. New York has a plus 15.2 net rating when he's their center, according to Cleaning the Glass, compared to plus 7 when Towns is a lone big man on the glass. And then a plus 3 when Yabusele is playing. But obviously, as we've seen, even if the numbers suggest that Yabusele is plus at anything, when he is on the floor, and New York is struggling a lot, especially if he is only the lone center on the floor. But that goes back to the same thing, the trade deadline, the moves. He does have a point. Mitchell Robinson is being load managed right now. We're not using Ariel Huckporty for whatever the reason may be, maybe because of early struggles. But Yabusele doesn't even have the same impact anymore. If Mitchell Robinson does get hurt or needs to be load managed a little bit further, Karl-Anthony Towns is out, we might be stuck at the center position without anybody that we can trust to really man it. So again, really go back to you, Doug. Do you feel confident with our lineup in terms of the roster and the backups that we have at center and point guard while we go to the trade deadline? Or do you think the Knicks can skip it and still be good with the depth that we have?
I think the Knicks are in a good position roster-wise. I think that saying that there aren't any real holes in the way that they're built when they're healthy is totally true. I think also Mitchell Robinson and the whole load management approach in general that the Knicks have taken this season, it's been like frustrating at times, because then they find themselves undermanned in games that you feel like they should be dominating, and it's closer than you want it to be, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that Mitchell Robinson is being so carefully managed means that you will get the full impact version of Mitchell Robinson, which you saw in the playoffs. You will get that in the playoffs. You don't need it in November. You don't need it in December. So what I've noticed with Mitchell Robinson, and you alluded to it in the last portion, the defensive communication for the Knicks is not great, and they still have like the 16th best defense in the league, which is obviously it's not great, but it's holding water-ish. So I think Mitch has been looking a little late on help. I think guys have in general been late on their rotations, out of position at times. So that's stuff that you clean up without a need for a trade. And also Mitchell Robinson, when he's in his full shape, like when his wind is up, when his ankles and legs are feeling good, he's early on the help, and him just even looking in your direction, if you're trying to drive and slash, makes you rethink what you're doing. So he will get there. I think the Knicks in general will get there. I really want to work on this perimeter defense issue. I like the zone worked on against Miami, and then they seem to try it again and lose touch with exactly how to communicate and how to in the second Miami game, the zone kind of went downhill. It took a dip. So it's obvious that Mike Brown is working within his defensive limitations the best that he can. Again, I think switchable defenders like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, who we've been without for a few games, and it makes you feel like the roster's incomplete because guess what? You're missing one of your best players and probably your best overall defender. He's not here right now. So, but I do think that working on these communication issues and these positioning issues and not putting out lineups that Dallas really picked on Jordan Clarkson, for instance. We need to figure out ways to mitigate these vulnerabilities on the perimeter. That worries me a lot more than the rim.
The 3-point defense. I think I've been one of the most outspoken people about the New York Knicks 3-point defense. I hate it. I think it's worse this year than I've ever seen it just because of how wide open every single person is. It's the philosophy of the defense, though. They want to pack the paint, stop the driving lanes. And, to be fair, they're one of the best teams at doing that this season. But they're also second worst in the league at defending the three. And against the top 10 teams in the league who shoot the three so well and, have shooters all around, and then they can dominate inside if you leave them open inside, the Knicks are going to get torched in that way. So I definitely agree with you. I think the 3-point defense needs to get better. And I think Mike Brown has a way of doing it, or at least trying to do it without OG Anunoby. And one of those ways, one of the players we spoke about already, Mohamed Diawara. And the shocking part for me here, Doug, and I don't know if you were shocked by it, we have a number of rookies on this team. Pacome Dadier is as a wing as well, too, right? And, you have Kevin McCullough Jr., you have Ariel Huck-Porty. We have players with size that we can play on this team. But the surprising thing for me was he kind of skipped a lot of them and went straight to Mohamed Diawara. And I tried to understand why. And shout out to Steph Bondy with the New York Post. He kind of gave us some more information on why. According to Bondy, he said Mohamed Diawara, the 20-year-old rookie from France, has received spot minutes in the Knicks rotation and is in line for more. It was a surprise maneuver from Coach Mike Brown, if only because Diawara had previously only logged garbage time minutes and Pacome Dadier has been touted as the greater prospect. However, Dadier's not playing, but Diawara, he is. And according to Mike Brown, the main reason for that is because with OG Anunoby out, Diawara keeps them long and athletic, and that's really ideal right now. And I absolutely agree with that. And he's stating that he's going to continue to search for different ways to do that, meaning adding more players to the lineup that have size and that can offer the Knicks what they need. And Brown continues here by stating, it's huge for a lot of reasons, but also it's so early in the season that the reality of it is I don't want to gas my guys out this early in the season. So there's a whole reason behind why he's doing it. Yes, he wants to be longer. Yes, because he understands the longer you are, if you pack the paint and you try to go out to the three, you can defend a lot easier because you're athletic, more long. I get that. You also want to rest your starters, your bench, so the postseason, because that's the most important thing. I understand all that. I get it. It's still shocking to me that Diawara is getting minutes over some of these other players. But when you listen to what Brown says, it does make sense. So what do you feel about Diawara? Do you believe he should be getting minutes over some of these younger Knick players? Is he the right player to go forward with right now?
I think especially with the Anunoby injury, 100% we need more Diawara. Knicks fans have a reputation for overhyping prospects that don't pan out. And it's very possible he's has a reputation of being this lump of clay that doesn't have a ton of experience and, needs a lot of work, but has physical tools that are really impressive. But I don't know if I buy that because I think he's pretty smart. He's pretty aware of where he is on the floor. I love the defense. I think he registered at least one block in a really short stint, a maybe 2 or 3 minute stint against Dallas. And the Knicks immediately went on a run when he came in. And there's a few things that I really like about his game. First of all, he plays with an intensity that I think is missing, frankly, from Dadier, that you want to see from Dadier. He doesn't have it. But Diawara is active, moving, trying to see ball and see man at all times. When he gets the ball, he's trying to push. When he gets the ball in half court, he's looking immediately for the next pass because he knows, like, if he's playing with Towns in the game or Brunson in the game, it's not really his time to take a shot unless he's wide open. But he's been super aware, super active. He had maybe one really not so great blow-by situation in his first appearance of the season. But since then, he's been steady. He knocked down 2 contested threes in one garbage time stint. Look how closely I watched this guy play. I really wanted him to pan out. But also just in terms of that switchability, the Knicks, you can't make it so easy for teams to target smaller defenders. And having Diawara out there, he is long. He is 6'9". So he does complicate everything for an opposing offense. And that's where I think it's most important for me to see. And the last thing that I love about him is he is always looking to go coast to coast. He wants to play fast. No coincidence that Mike Brown loves him for that exact reason. He's always ready to push. He's not trying to settle back in and let a defense get set. And I think, especially if you're young, coming off the bench, expected to provide energy, that's a really, really good quality for a player to have. So I'm pretty bullish on him. I would like to see him get even a couple shots in some of these significant minutes, not garbage time minutes. And I've really liked what I've seen from his compete level, from his awareness, from his apparent desire to be a part of this team and contribute. That's what I love the most about him.
I think what he changes almost immediately when he gets into the game is he makes everybody else more aware because he's immediately hyper aware. He's always looking at the ball, at his man, at the other player's man. He's trying to make sure he's not caught off guard by anything. I noticed that immediately. He has that type of instinct, that gear that some players have, that when they're on the court, it's on. He has that next level. I agree with you. Dadier is kind of the same speed, always. Never too fast, never too slow. I feel like Diawara knows when he can take his time and knows when he can press against. And that's what you kind of need, the ability to shift. And I think that's why he's getting it. Also, it's his length. I mean, you can't make that up. The wingspan is ridiculous. You have to use it. So I hope that the Knicks are able to use that. But we talked about minutes, right? We talked about Diawara getting more minutes now because OG Anunoby's out. Well, there's another player that's on the bench that's been here for a while that also wants more minutes. That's Josh Hart. And I can understand why Josh Hart in OG Anunoby's absence would want more minutes. And I think Mike Brown has definitely given him more minutes over the course of these last few games without Anunoby. Shout out to Steve Popper from Newsday for giving us this information. He stated this regarding Josh Hart. Even as his role has changed, he has surfaced with an assortment of ad campaigns this season. Still, he is doing the work on court. When he was asked if he's ready for more minutes without OG Anunoby in the roster, he responded, "I hope. I think before that, I was playing, before he went down, I think I was playing the least minutes of my career." And then Popper was like, "You keep track of those things?" And Hart said, "When I'm mad, yeah," he said with a smile. "But I'm ready to always do what needs to be done to help the team get wins." And Mike Brown, he seemingly understands that and he's happy with that. He can definitely play that way for us, be a presence for us, be a leader for us. And because of that, he can probably play more minutes. He said that Josh Hart reminds him like a glue piece player, like Andre Iguodala from Golden State when he was there. So this is all the praise that Mike Brown is giving Josh Hart right now. And it seems like the reason he's getting this praise, not only because, he's a monster when he's playing right now off the bench. He had a triple-double a couple nights ago. So the impact is there, Doug. Do you believe that he should play more minutes, maybe even more minutes over some of these young players like we were talking about, like a Pacome, like a Mohamed Diawara? Or do you like the way the minutes have been spread out to start the season thus far?
I think Mike Brown's been really conscientious about when he puts Josh Hart out there and who he puts Josh Hart out there with, because when Josh Hart is not shooting with confidence, it has a really detrimental effect to the Knicks half court offense. But when he is shooting with confidence and he is knocking down threes, like he frankly, he's been shooting the three extremely well this season. All of a sudden, the offense feels super potent, and then the fast break is always there with Josh Hart. The rebounding is always there with Josh Hart. The aggression, the pace, the intensity, it's all the stuff that we really love about him. So employing that in the right combination, it's sort of hard to put him out there with Mitch on the floor because of the spacing issues that become created with two guys who aren't known as perimeter threats. But if he makes you pay, then you give him more minutes. If he makes a defense pay by knocking down an open shot, you got to give him more minutes. I think also something I'd like to see improved from him is he kind of has been ball watching a lot, and more than I've seen him do before. Maybe it's some kind of adjustment to a new defensive scheme, but if he could tighten that up a little bit, I would be fully on board with more Josh Hart minutes. Also, another issue here is that Landry Shamet is hooping. So like that they are in a similar role, not the same role, but they're in a similar role. And you saw how Mike Brown used Landry Shamet as the ace in the hole against Dallas to close that game because Landry's been playing really aggressive, really strong defense, forcing turnovers. That was equally as important as the threes that Landry Shamet knocked down to close that game. So there's an interesting conundrum. And Deuce McBride, like everybody, those three players to me at a given time slot into a lot of lineups,
Mm-hmm.
and you choosing the right one is Mike Brown's challenge. So I don't know. I wasn't on board with Josh playing 40 minutes a game and like he was under Tibbs. I don't think that's the way to maximize his impact. But there is this double, like this two-factor thing for him playing, which is he's got the aggression and the versatility, and then also he's like a real respected veteran presence for this team to have on the floor. So if he can tighten the turnovers up, tighten the ball watching up, the more the merrier, I say.
I like Josh Hart. Love him. To be honest, I love the minutes he's playing this season more than any other season. Anything under 30 minutes for Josh Hart where he can give you 16, 10, and 5, I'll take that any day of the week. For me, Josh Hart's minutes should not go up. I love the fact that he's under 30, and hopefully that continues for the rest of the season. I understand why he would want more minutes, but I always thought the minutes should go based off of matchups. And whoever has the hot hand, whoever's doing something right. Like, some nights it could be Clarkson. Some nights it could be Shamet. Some nights it could be Deuce McBride. And I think that's the good thing about the offense, because when it is working the way it's supposed to and the ball is moving and you're finding the open man, it could be a Landry Shamet night again for a McBride or whoever, because that's the way the offense, kind of flows into things. And somebody who's really has taken charge this season. If you look at just the numbers themselves, defensively and even offensively, he's probably adapted better to Mike Brown's system more than anybody. And I'm talking about Mikal Bridges. Bridges is having a career year. Besides Brunson, whose numbers are, Brunson's crazy. I can't believe Brunson having the year he's having in a different role. Well, maybe I can because it's Jalen Brunson, but Mikal Bridges, Mikal's last 5 games, 18 steals, 8 blocks. Last 3 games, 12 steals, 8 blocks. Since tracking began, no Knick has done this in at least 4 decades. Most steals plus blocks per game in November. Mikal Bridges at 4. Scotty Barnes, the Raptors have been playing very well lately, 3.8. Wembanyama, 3.6. Asor Thompson, 3.5. Mikal Bridges, the one that we gave all those 5 picks for, this was the version, maybe even better than I thought we were supposed to get way back then. Mikal Bridges this year clearly unlocked, playing the best basketball of his career. What do you think about Mikal Bridges, his impact? Do you like what you see? You want to see him do even more? What do you think about Mikal Bridges' season thus far?
I want to applaud him, first of all, for being a tone setter in terms of embracing a new coach and a new system. Because immediately we know that there was a little discontent between him and Tibbs and a little friction there. That's not a secret. Everybody knows that. But when Mike Brown comes in with that pace and space system that he brings to the Knicks, Mikal Bridges, his eyes lit up and he was ready to be a driving force for doing that and kind of overhauling the Knicks looks on both ends. So I want to give him a lot of credit for that. The speed at which he's playing. Mike Brown also seems to value sort of a riskier defensive approach where you play passing lanes and you shoot gaps. And I think that Mikal Bridges has been doing that with so much confidence. Big steals, loud, momentum shifting steals to dunks and finishes. And that's been really, really awesome. And you've always known he's been capable of doing that. And to see him do it is great. Also, the mid-range and the three-point shooting both been automatic this year, especially when he gets to those spots off a couple dribbles, 2 or 3 dribbles, turn, fire from 10, 15 feet away. I'm just speaking off of eye test. It's automatic. It's a bankable shot. So that's all of that has been fantastic. The off-ball movement, spacing to the corners, running the break, all the stuff that Mike Brown loves. He's doing it, and that's the profile of the Mikal Bridges player is speed, And that's what we really love to see. Speed, consistency, durability. And that's why the value doesn't show up always in 30-point games. It shows up in the fact that he's there every single night doing a bevy of things, coming up with deflections, hitting threes, hitting mid-range shots, making key clutch passes when he sees that extra. He always tends to find that extra pass. So these are all the things that we love from Bridges. I will register one complaint because I'm a Knick fan and I complain about everything. There have been a few games, in particular this Miami game, that it's stuck in my craw and I can't get it out. The second Miami game of that home and home.
Yeah.
I think that was on Monday. He was cooking 23 points through 3 quarters,
Yeah.
0 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that happens. Is it other players making decisions to take shots, or is it Mike Brown saying we're going to run the offense X, Y, and Z way? I want him to be even more aggressive in clutch situations. I want him taking the last shot. I want him being confident as a first option at times on the floor. So that's where I would like to see some growth. In his role for this team, is just understanding there are nights where I need to score. I need to score off the dribble. I need to score at multiple levels, and I need to score for 4 quarters. That's what I want to see from him.
I think the one thing that he's done better this year that I really have ever seen him do in his career, he's holding the players accountable more. I don't remember what game it was, but there was a play where I think it was Cat, OG, and Mitchell Robinson. They didn't get back on defense, and Brunson and Mikal are above. And Mikal looks back, he's like, what the F are you guys doing? Where are you guys? He wouldn't have done that last year. He did it this year. And I think that level of leadership as well is what we need. It feels like everybody kind of has that in them now. I feel like, when you're on the floor, certain players, especially if they're thriving in this offense, they kind of feel that bounce in their step about, I got this and I'm going to make sure everybody else has it. And Mikal Bridges is definitely one of those guys that's helped defenses so good this year. I mean, he helps so beautifully. His steals always in the passing lanes. He's getting blocks more than ever. I mean, he's playing defense like you wanted to see him play for his entire career since he got to the Knicks, with OG Anunoby with that as well. I mean, they're monsters together, and I think they can even get better. We're talking about Mikal Bridges, though, and that's great, and I'm happy he's doing well. But not everything is beautiful, like you know. And the last topic we're going to kind of close off today with, Karl-Anthony Towns. Karl-Anthony Towns. I have so many thoughts about Towns this year. Towns last year, we knew what he gave us. Obviously, first year with the Knicks, I can't believe he had the year he had. If you think about it, this coming here, traded when he was traded, right? To have the year he had, phenomenal. You can't take that away from him. You would think in the next year he'd be better. And in some moments he is, right? He has some games where he's a monster. But then other moments you look at him, you're thinking, does that look like Towns? And when you look at some of the numbers that we look at here, he stands at 7 foot tall, right? 248 pounds, but is shooting 42.9% from the field. Throughout most games, Towns is seen driving aggressively to the paint, but many times not getting the whistle. When he doesn't get the whistle, his emotions get the best of him. Many times people are able to hear him complaining to the officials, talking about why didn't they get the foul? Why didn't you call it? Things like that. And, we've seen a lot of his averages go down. I mean, especially when we're talking about road games, Doug, he's been a disappointment. He's averaging 17 points, 13.8 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on the road. The efficiency on the road is concerning even more. He's shooting 36% from the field and 17.2% from 3 and an 83.9% free throw shooting percentage from the line. That's where he's at right now. And I know you can't see this. When you watch it back and people at home can see this right now, they're looking at the shooting chart. Shout out to my guy, D Black. He's also known as Boogie Muse on the app X. Everybody who knows stats are going to follow him. We're looking at the shooting charts from last season and this season. Towns last season was kind of all over the place, but a lot heavy inside. This year, barely anything outside. A lot outside, some things inside. But in terms of the amount of shots, where he is, where he's taking those shots on the court, where last year it was all over the place, This year, it doesn't even seem like he's moving that much. It's kind of all in the same areas of space on the court. So he's not shooting from all over the court like he was. And all of his numbers are down. His averages are down. He's playing horribly on the road. My main question to you, Doug, is what's going on with Towns? What's happening with Karl-Anthony? Is it the role? Does he not buy into the system? Why is he playing so poorly this season compared to any other year of his entire career?
It's such a difficult question. I am a very strong believer in Towns. I think that he is in a significant shooting slump. I think his body language stuff, the complaining with the referees, the every so often an errant press quote, it you can piece a narrative together in your head that he's not happy with the system or something. He's getting a ton of shots. His role is extremely important. There are long stretches of time where he plays the five. There are long stretches of time where the ball runs through him. So I don't think he is disappointed or upset or not understanding what's going on. I think it's all fine. I think all this frustration comes down to a shooting slump. He's getting open looks above the break that he normally makes. He's shown his range. He can hit from almost near the logo, even if he's not hitting consistently. So this to me is an overtime. The regression will come and he will be celebrated and he will be appreciated. Let's go back to those stats on the road that you mentioned. They're really disappointing, but I think you said 13.8 rebounds. So while we're chugging along, being critical of his, see, the problem with Karl is that his great performances are kind of quiet and in the flow of everything else that's going on. Like, for instance, the Landry Shamet game against Miami, 36 points for Landry Shamet, 39 points for Karl-Anthony Towns. Does anybody remember that? So he's going along, giving you energy, effort, and just not hitting open shots. And the shot chart, I think, just based on my eye test, is going to look like boom and then boom and maybe sometimes boom and boom. In terms of here's the paint, a lot of stuff down here that doesn't work, a lot of above the break threes that are open, but he's missing. So that all is going to progress to a mean of improvement in terms of the shooting. Now, the stuff that I'm like, I don't know, this may be just who he is, and we have to accept that, is the driving and looking for a call instead of looking for a finish. Because when he looks for a finish, he punches it on someone's head. How many he's had more poster dunks this year than maybe he did all of last year.
I think so. Yeah, I agree.
He's been bonging on dudes, and that's awesome. But when we settle with physical defenders, when we settle for little pull-ups and try to get contact on the arm, you got to understand what you're up against, Karl. Like, you're up against referees who are looking, just because he doesn't. My theory is that it just comes down to the fact that he doesn't jump very high. So everything kind of looks like a little off balance.
Yeah.
But and referees tend to reward players who are athletic and it's very visible, the contact, like they jump high up in the air and their trajectory in the air is changed by contact, so they get calls. But Towns is a stationary off 2 feet type of player. So the attitude around the officiating, as much as it's annoying to watch him get hacked and not get calls, like you said, like, it can't have a deleterious effect on his mental. And also the thoughtless, like, give up a defensive rebound and just randomly reach in, or go on a drive and hook the arm around. One of my choruses in one of my songs was about stop hooking your arm.
Yeah.
Because I love these players. I love Towns. I'm ecstatic that he is on this team. I think he's an awesome piece for any team, and I absolutely think he can be a part of a championship team. I absolutely think there's so much left to be written about how he plays with Mitchell Robinson. So many big games that he's yet to have in a Knicks uniform. So I'm super bullish on it. But I will take the time to put in my song, stop hooking your arm. I don't know what's it going to take. Just these little mental mistakes that he's just way better of a player than those little mistakes. And I think they add up. I think they're louder than the successes because that's just the type of player he is. But patience, my friends. When this dude is trailing the break and he hits 4 threes in a night, this feeling that you have about him being a frustrating player is going to immediately melt away. I promise you this.
There's one thing you might have to mention in your songs as well, because you got to stop doing this too. Can he stop falling to the floor every play and a half?
I don't know if he can. It's like every time he drives, I'm like, he's in the 6th row. Like,
I don't understand. It's all we understand. It's a 4-on-5 situation every time he does that, right? He drops to the floor. It's 4-on-5, or he doesn't even drop to the floor. He does the one-footed like landing. So
step over
right,
the photographer.
I don't understand. Like, what does he do? He's the only one doing those moves, Doug. And every time he does it, he's a step slow to run back on defense, and it's 4-on-5. The falling is the worst. He falls on every single play, and he takes 5 seconds to get up. They're running on the other end. It's an wide open three for the other team, and it's money. It's cash. That has to stop. I think everything you said about Cat is right. But the things he does wrong, he does really wrong. And it doesn't look like he's making an effort to fix a lot of those things. The calls to refs, Mike Brown said a couple of games ago, stop. There's no point in doing it. He does it constantly. We see it every single game. And does he have a right? Absolutely. He's getting hit inside. We all can see. We have eyes. He's getting hit. But if you're not going to get the call, stop arguing about the call. Because then you're not only not going to get a call, but when you deserve one later on, you're not going to get it because you complain for 50 minutes or 40 minutes, whatever the case may be. He needs to stop doing that. But if you're telling me he can't fall, Doug, then you're telling me to be happy with a 4-on-5?
It's just, this is the experience of Karl Towns, man. Like, Knicks fans have to be at peace with what this is, like with what he brings and the weaknesses that he brings as well. It's just, Mike Brown's job is to mitigate this issue, is to get the 4 other players need to get the hell back after that in that situation. So I just, it's tough, but every player has weaknesses. Like it's Karl's contract is massive. Like it's still the Minnesota extension that they gave him however many years ago, 4 seasons ago. And that's why sometimes this feels tough. There's a lot of stuff bound up in, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo on the Wolves. Like there's a lot of emotion around Karl-Anthony Towns, who to begin with is an emotional player. But I think that the strengths, particularly the shooting, like once those trail threes are falling at a consistent rate, like we are going to blow teams out. And you just got to wait for it to start happening. That's the whole key as a fan to this season, and being patient. When you've been patient for 37 years, asking for a 38th year is a kind of a lot to ask. But at the same time, this vision for this roster will take some time to develop. It wasn't completed last year with the group that is largely the same, with the bench being very different looking, but the starting group being pretty similar, the main pieces being pretty similar. We are reimagining how to deploy the strengths of everybody, not just Towns. So it's going to take more than 10 games or 14 games. But guess what? The Knicks are 9-5. So while they're treading water trying to figure out their whole system, they're 4 games over 500 to start the year.
They're still winning. Yeah,
I'm signing up for it, as frustrating as it's looked at times, with the idea that it's going to start to gel, because it does gel in stretches. The Knicks rip off these like huge 12-0 runs in like 2 minutes, but when can they put it together game over game, quarter over quarter? That's going to take some time, and Towns is very much a player that it's going to take some time with.
I think that some fans are a little too critical, and I think they can give a little bit of a pass to certain players, and I have no problem with that if they want to give Towns a pass. I'm giving Towns a small pass because the results of his he can't shoot like that. He can't have it's terrible to say this, but he can't be this bad of a player on a championship level team. Because if this continues, the championship we're trying to get, it's not going to happen. If Towns is not legitimately your second best player on this team, if he's flirting with third or fourth at nights, not or almost consistently some nights, you're not going to win a championship. He needs to be a threat. He needs to be one of your biggest threats, along with Brunson, because those two together is going to allow everybody else on the roster to eat. But Doug, we could talk all day about New York, about Knicks, about going stuff with content and things like that. But if I did that, the show would never end and we'd be here talking forever. So I really appreciate your time today. You've been great. I loved hearing about your journey, all your thoughts about the Knicks and, where we are this season, where we're going to go, and certain thoughts that you had about Karl-Anthony Towns, Mohamed Diawara, and this entire roster. Any closing remarks, Doug, for the show today?
That's a huge game tomorrow.
It is.
And don't stop getting out physical. That's my message to the Knicks. Stop getting beaten up by teams that you're better than. Stop it. But keep supporting all of these content creators who work hard and put themselves out there to give you great content. Troy, very, very much included. And it's just been such a pleasure to talk ball with a ball knower such as yourself. Follow me at Duglust on Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube. And I'm just going to keep creating. There's a lot of fun stuff that I'm going to be doing, original music. My recaps are going to be going every game. Tap in. Quite frankly, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do about Thanksgiving, but I'll figure something out.
I'll tell you right now, if anybody's hoping that you're going to get a post game for me, I think it's the Hornets game, right? The Hornets game, and then
exactly. That makes it even worse.
There is. First of all, it's the Hornets.
Exactly.
Second of all, it's Thanksgiving. Doug, if you do that, I'll support you. No problem at all. For everybody who's watching my channel, you will not be getting a post-game video for the Hornets. You'll get some content. I don't know what that day might be skipped because it's Thanksgiving. But Friday, you might get some content. But guys, thank you guys so much for doing the show. Me and Doug are out of here. If you guys want to show support, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to everything that we have content on. Doug is available on social media. Follow him on Instagram, TikTok. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, social media, wherever I am. Please, guys, make sure you do that because support is free and all it takes is one click to change anybody's life. And you never know, one click, it could be yours. Until next time, guys, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.